So in Srimad Bhagavatam 4th canto, we hear the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj. The great sage Maitri Muni is describing the pastime to the great devotee Vidura. He explains that there was a king named Uttanpada, and he had two wives named Suniti and Suriti. They both have different nature altogether. Suruchi is a very materialistic woman, always enjoying sense gratification. She also has one son who is named Uttam, and the other wife of the king is Suniti, who is of a devotee nature and very simple lady, and her son is Dhruva Maharaj. Once the king Uttanpada, he was sitting on his throne, and Suruchi was standing close by, and her son Uttam, he was sitting in the lap of King Uttanpada, and king was patting with love and affection on his head and also smelling his head. Dhruv, who was also nearby, young child, about 5 years of age, he looked and he also became eager to come and sit in the lap of the king, who is his father. So when he attempted to climb in the lap of his father, Suruchi, who was standing nearby, she became envious, and she checked him to climb in the lap of his father, and she said, "Oh dear child, your attempt to sit in the lap of your father will not be fulfilled, because you have not taken birth from my womb, although you are son of the king. If you want to sit down in the lap of your father, or if you want to sit on this throne, then you must go and worship Narayan. Please him, take boon from him, and by his benediction you should take birth from my womb. Then only your desire can be fulfilled, not otherwise." Dhruva Maharaj was standing, and he noticed his father did not protest it at all. He was silent. The harsh words of Suriti, his stepmother, hurt the heart of this young boy. He has Kshatriya blood because he is son of the Uttanpada, who is Kshatriya. So he became so angry, he started crying, and his lips started trembling in anger. And he quickly left the palace. And he went to his mother. Meanwhile, other residents of the palace has described the incident in detail to his mother. And when Suniti heard such a bad behavior of his co-wife, stepmother of Dhruv, then she became so grieved to hear. Her heart became so painful, and she also started crying. She immediately took Dhruv in her lap and started pacifying him. And she said, "Oh Dhruv, listen, my dear child, you should never wish anything inauspicious or bad for others. Those who cause suffering to others, they themselves get reaction of those actions. I know only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. He can help you. He can fulfill your desires. And in the past also, your father, great-grandfather has done like that. They have pleased the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they have acquired. All their desires have been fulfilled. So you should try to please him." Hearing these words from his mother, the boy had strong faith to go and worship Narayan. And after keeping himself together, coming out of that state of mind, he fixed his intelligence, and with resolute determination, he left the palace, left the house of his father, and went out in the forest. And when he went in the forest, Narad Muni, he came to know about this wonderful attempt of this young boy who has come in such a young age, to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he approached this nice, gentle, tender baby boy, and he kept his hand on his head and said, "Oh boy, see how wonderful this Kshatriya is. Why? Because he's so young, But he cannot tolerate a little bit of insult. And who did that? His stepmother. No one outside person. So the elders can say like this to the child, why you are so disturbed? You should not be so much disturbed. And in this age, it's like a sport or playing, you should forget it immediately. And even if you feel insulted, then you should understand that this is part of life. Everything happens by the laws of karma, the will of the providence. Sometimes you feel happiness, satisfaction, and sometimes you're suffering and you're not comforted. So you should go back. You should play. This is not the age for you to perform austerity, because you don't know how severe austerities have to be performed. One has to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the past, for billions and billions of years, many yogis have tried and they have failed. You will not be able to do so. But Dhruv Maharaj was least affected by the words of Narad Muni. Humbly and with a very sweet voice, he replied to Narad Muni. He said, "O great sage, you have given very wonderful instructions to me, but I must tell you that my heart is completely broken by the words of my stepmother. I must get a more important position, more exalted position than my father. And so exalted that no one else should have that in this world. So you please tell me, how can I fulfill this desire? You are so merciful." So when Narad Rishi, he saw the determination of this young boy, he told him the process, that how he can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He gave him the 12-syllable mantra. He told him you should go in the forest of Madhuban. You should take dip in the Jamuna river 3 times, and after properly cleaning and sitting in Ashtanga Yogasana, you should meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He also told him the form of the Lord. He also told him the qualities of the Lord and told him all the process. So Dhruv Maharaj, after taking all the instructions from his Gurudev, he circumambulated him and saying with senses, he left to the forest of Madhuban. And there, exactly as his Gurudev was told, he followed the process. And he became very attached with the mantras. And gradually, he lost interest in all his external activities. He gradually reduced his eating, so much so that he, in the last month, was not even taking air. He was not breathing. And the situation in the entire planet became so disturbed that everyone, even the demigods, were being suffocated. They could not breathe. So all of them, they approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Narayan, and requested him, "O Lord, you are our Savior. We are all feeling this disturbance. You please rescue us from this troublesome situation." And immediately, Lord Narayan, he said, "You should be pacified. I quickly go and pacify this boy, because his severe austerities has created this havoc." So immediately Lord Narayan, he came to this young boy who was sitting in his meditation, and he was meditating on the beautiful form of the Lord, holding conch shells and clubs and all the 4 items. When Lord appeared in front of him, the form which he was meditating inside was disappeared. So his meditation broke, became restless. Where is that beautiful form I was meditating on? And his eyes opened, and as he opened his eyes, he saw that very form of the Lord was present in his front. Now, young boy, what he can do? He immediately fell flat at the feet of Sri Narayan, and he could not understand what he should do. But seeing the position of the tender child, Lord Narayan, he touched his conscience with his head, and as soon as the conscience was touched with his head, all the Vedas and all the realizations and all the essence of all the absolute truth manifested in his heart. And immediately he stood up, and with folded hands he started glorifying the Lord with so many wonderful prayers. But with this knowledge, he also realized what? That material sense gratification is useless. One can never be happy in this world. No matter, they can try whatever they can. What to speak of in this world? They can go to even high planets like Lord Brahma, still they will not be satisfied. Only pure devotional service, unconditional, uninterrupted, as we heard just now, can please the Lord, and only by pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can be very peaceful. So now, he was crying that why I desired for all that material opulence. But Lord said, since you have desired it, so I must bestow this benediction. But you should not worry. You will not be entangled, and by my mercy, at the end of this going through 36,000 years of empire and enjoying all this material self-gratification, you will come back to me. But here, the teaching which we get from this wonderful pastime is that Guru Maharaj, he performed very severe austerities and he was worshipping the Lord. His devotion was uninterrupted. Continuously he was performing and he was able to take the darshans of the Lord. But what happened? He was desiring for a broken piece of glass. He made all that effort to receive a broken piece of glass. But when he found a diamond, he could not get it because his purpose was not motivated properly. He had darshans of Sadguru like Narad. Who can be more pure than Narad? But yet, when Sri Narad Muni, he noticed, he detected that this boy had a very strong anya vilash, desire to have so much opulence in this world. Narad Muni understood that even if I tell him, he will not understand. So he must go through this. So he told him that, okay, even if you want this thing, you should go and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But his bhakti is called Satam Bhakti. He did all those devotional activities, but for his own desires. He didn't perform all those austerities for the satisfaction of the Lord. He performed all those things for his satisfaction. So, the main teaching is that even if we are performing all the external means of the bhakti as we hear, but they should be properly motivated with only desire to please Krishna. There should not be no other desire. If there is any other desire, then we will not be benefited. And another point was that he came to his Gurudev and he spoke very honestly. He told him that I have come to you for this purpose. He did not cheat it. He did not lie. But if we are in the association of Sadguru and we may take the dress of a devotee, but we do not open our heart and tell our own problems to Sadguru, then how he will help us? So, if we become honest and sincere in our approach, then by the mercy of Sadguru, surely our all anarthas will go away and we can achieve our supreme goal, which is Anya Vilas Tasmin Jnana Karma Janavatam Anukulya Krishna Amikilam Bhakti Uttam.
One thing you should notice that a high class of devotee like Narad, he initiated yoga. He has also initiated Prahlad Maharaj, you know. He also initiated Chitraketu Maharaj. But these three were indifferent categories. Each Guru wants to give the same thing, Goloka Vrindavan, the service of Krishna. But if there is no past impression, then he cannot. He wants to give, but they cannot take. So, Guru Maharaj has no past impression. He can take no air, no water for 6 months. That is called asterisk. But not he has no impression of high class of devotee before. So Narad Maharaj could miss it. The Swamiji, Srila Prabhupada, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he wanted to give all these things. And that is why Bhakti Vinod Thakur started another Sankirtan. You know? Namhatta. That we are following somehow. Swamiji started from. But he could not get them. High class of devotion to Radha and Krishna, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to black Krishna Das, Kala Krishna Das, he was with him in South India. But he didn't. So it requires some impression of this birth and also. But if you will neglect to be in intuition of high class of God and realizing all this, even Gurudev will one, and he can do anything, but he will not reach the process. He will not reach it. That is why he could not get to Guru. And he is still in Dhruva, not in Goloka Vrindavan. You know the story of Devhuti and Kapil. Oh, very essence of that thing. You see. In a very few minutes. I want to finish all this in 9th canto. You can be here, no harm. Huh? Yeah. Interesting, very.
So the stages of Namakaranya headed by Sonaka asked their guru, Sri Goswami, to tell them about the first of fertility, the personality of Godhead, who is here, but although the personality of Godhead, and without any material form, assumes so many forms by his internal potency, who is his supreme will. So Sri Goswami related the story of how Kardama Muni was the son of Lord Brahma, and he was ordered to create progeny around the universe. So in order to fulfill this order, he did austerities for many, many thousands of years, maybe 50 or 60,000 of years. Then Lord Vishnu appeared to him, riding on Garuda, very beautiful, bluish with forearms, and he asked Lord Vishnu for the boon to have a wife of equal disposition to himself. So Lord Vishnu told him, because you did bhakti to me, you get more than your expectations. Not only will I give you such a good wife, who will be of equal disposition to yourself, but she'll be the daughter of the Emperor of the whole universe, and she'll have so many good qualities, and I also will come as your son. So it came about that Kardama Muni married Devahuti, and soon after their marriage, she was serving him, and although she was a princess and the daughter of the Emperor of the entire universe, she was engaged in great austerity, not at all caring about her bodily comfort, washing her hair maybe once a year, and becoming very lean and thin, not caring about her food, only serving her husband in his devotional service. So when she asked him for a boon, he said, I'm serving you so much, so I want to ask you for a benediction. I want children. So first they had 9 daughters by Kardama Muni, who was such a great yogi, powerful yogi, that simply by his will he was able to create a palatial city which flew in the sky, made of diamonds and rubies and ivory, and all the bedsteads were made just white like the foam of milk. Everything was gorgeous, enviable by the denizens of heaven. So then, in that palace, they had 9 daughters, who were later married to the 9 great sages, the sons of Brahma, and they also propagated the universe. Then, Kardama Muni wanted to leave because he had given children. The Devahuti begged for one son. So Kardama Muni gave her the greatest of all sons, the personality of Godhead, Lord Subhaladev. And then he left. And he glorified Subhaladev. He met him just before he left and glorified Subhaladev. Then Subhaladev went back to the palace of Devahuti. And Devahuti requested her son that I'm very much distressed. My mind and senses are so distressed by material nature. Only you can purify me and get me out of ignorance. So I'm a woman, I'm less intelligent. I can't understand very, very lofty things by myself. But if you explain it in a very nice way, then I can understand. So Kapila explains how there's two types of souls, the conditioned soul and the liberated soul. And the conditioned soul, although transcendental, he thinks himself a product of matter and becomes involved in lust, anger, greed, and so many inauspicious activities which send him to different hellish results. But if such a soul becomes pure by sadhu sangha, then he realizes his own transcendental nature, and he realizes that he's self-effulgent, although minute, and he becomes indifferent to all material things. Then Kapila began explaining what are the qualities of the sadhu. Titikshava Purunita. He's very tolerant and he's very merciful. And he's equal to all living beings. He's a friend of all living beings. Suridam Sarvadeshanam. And he has no enemies. Somebody may be his enemy, but he is not anybody's enemy. Just like Maharaj Yudhishthira is called Ajata Satru. So the sadhu is called Ajata Satruva Santa. Even if somebody is his enemy, like Duryodhana and company were the enemies of Maharaj Yudhishthira, but even so, Maharaj Yudhishthira considers them as great friends. So the sadhu is Ajata Satruva Santa, and he's always peaceful. He's never disturbed by anything material. And he's ornamented by these wonderful qualities, Sarva, Sarvabhushana. So from this type of sadhu, one should hear about Krishna. Then there's a verse given by Kapila Dev, which Srila Gurudev quotes so very often. If you want to know where it is, because it's one of the main verses that he quotes, it's Srimad Bhagavatam 3, 25, very easy to remember. And this verse is Sitam Sisangvam Mamadir Yisangvito. Bhavanti Rishana Risarana Sita. Sajjana Artha Pavarga Varmani. Shraddha Ratil Bhakti Anupramishpati. So, Sitam means pure devotee. In the association of pure devotees, or from pure devotees, Mama Virya Samvido. Mama means my, and Virya means my heroic activity, my heroic pastime, particularly the pastime in Vrindavan. Samvido, one who hears such discussions. Bhavanti Viskana Visayana Pita. This hearing acts like Visayana. Visayana is similar to the word that Gurudev used, Maha Aushadhi, or a very great medicine. If somebody's suffering, and he takes the tonic of raj, and he feels so much happiness in transcendental association with Krishna, in any loving relationship, this is pure science. When a pure devotee speaks Hari Katha, as Gurudev just mentioned, Krishna himself enters into the ears, and through the ears he enters into the heart and washes away all bad sins. Then Tajosama Asta Pavarga Varmanu. He goes very fast on the path of liberation, and Shraddha, Rajya, Bhakti, Anupramishti. Then step by step, by hearing from such pure devotees, he achieves Shraddha, strong faith in Krishna, Sadhana Bhakti, then Rati or Bhava Bhakti, and then Bhakti meaning Prema Bhakti, and ultimately Raja Bhakti. So then Kapila Dev goes on to describe devotional service. That such a sadhu, and everyone should be a sadhu, he's saying. Devotee is asking, please tell me what kind of devotional service I should do so that I can get purified and reach perfection. So Kapila Dev says, do the kind of devotional service that sadhus do. That is, they're so absorbed in bhakti that bhakti dissolves their false ego. Just like, this is very interesting, just like the fire in a stomach digests everything. So bhakti performed by anyone dissolves the subtle body, the false ego in the mind. So one should engage in devotional service with his mind and senses, renouncing his family. That doesn't mean necessarily externally, but internally, serving his family as Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in his Sharanagati song, that I take care of my family because they're Krishna's and they're engaged in Krishna service. So renouncing attachment to the family, renouncing attachment to the body, renouncing attachment to the false ego, and engaging the mind and senses without personal motive in the Lord's service. Then the Lord began to explain so many complex and deep subject matters. He said, I will tell you that knowledge which cuts all ignorance, and that knowledge is the knowledge of my qualities. Then he explained Krishna's spiritual qualities, the spiritual form. He says that anyone who is meditating on my smiling face, he becomes free from all material attachments, he becomes indifferent, and no problem can disturb him. And Srideva often told the story of God Bharat, whose head was on a chopping block, and his head in a few minutes was going to be thrown into the fire by the gasolate. He was thinking, oh, I have such bad karma. So if I give up this body, which is the result of that bad karma, then I'll get a good body next time as a devotee. So he wasn't the slightest bit disturbed. So then Kapila began talking about the creation, how that Lord creates the five senses, the five material elements, the five gross elements, five subtle elements, 10 senses, and ultimately the 26th element being time. And by the agitation of time, the whole creation comes from subtle elements to gross elements, starting from false ego. Then there's false ego and the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Then Kapila explains the qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance, of the mind, of the intelligence. So many subjects matter. So I'll end here.
Everywhere we are saying the necessity of high class of essence. Also, Kapil Dev told to her mother, Satang Prasangamam Vishwam. So, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Kara. Law Master, Sadhu Sangha. Even a moment, it is in sadhu, that it will not go easy. But it would be with honor and great, very strong belief. Otherwise, no action. No action. So, with honor we should follow also. Gradually, he should not be upset. Otherwise, he cannot be benefited. You know, Bharat was a very high class of Vaishnava, and he was going to attain Rati, even Nishta Bhakti he has crossed. Faith in name, Hari Katha, everything was there. So renowned he became. And then he came in Asakti stage, and he left his home, children, wife, everything, and he was now renowned and came in a very dense forest, and he was alone, and he was chanting, remembering. But what happened? He was attached with a deer who was drowning in the river. He had left his children and wives and everything. There was no attachment. He has reached to Rati even. So you should also be very careful for this. If you are coming to this stage, from there is a chance to go on. If he had not taste and chanting remembrance, there is so much chance because you are full of honor. So we should always be in association high. If Narad was there and he was with association, was Maharaj there? That I think that this must have happened. Would had not behaved. He would not have gone for 3 lives down. Never. But there was no one is there. So try to be always, even at the stage of Nishtha, Ruchi, also with high class of devotees, association. If there was some association, he could not have fallen down. And then, he has some pity, mercy for that baby deer. And this is called Sattvic mercy. This mercy. This should be in devotees. But they should not be attached with that. He should have done. But he was attached. And his attachment for Krishna went on. And then he quickly, he came to death, and only what he became? He became. And he was very careful in second birth and also in third. And you know all this history. So what is the essence of this story? That Sukadeva Goswami tells to Parikshit Maharaj when he was going to die. You have come, giving up your son, all kinds of attachment, and telling Harikatha to you. You should not be like Bharat. You should not attach. You should not give a moment for others' attachment. So you should be like that. There are 2 things. First is what? That if Bharat, in his last days, at the time of death, he remembered deer and he began. So as anyone having so many dogs and they have so much attachments with dogs, that it is certainly that he will be dog in next year. Anyone cannot take his dog. If he has any attachments with worldly anything, then he may come like serpents, tigers, and they are like horses, like anything. Even he can be like a very beautiful lady, though he was a male horse, and he will be very lusty. It may be that if any lady is remembering any person, then he may be like that, very lusty. He may be like donkey because donkeys are so lusty. So he may become like lusty like monkey and lost also. So don't do like this. From beginning you should try to always chant and remember Krishna. But not only Krishna. If you are doing like that, you can emerge in Krishna and you can be like Mayavadi. With devotees, you should, from beginning, if Gurudev has given some idea to you, you should try to follow. Sometimes the Guru wants to give so much things. He gives also, but no association, so he could not. He doesn't. Gurudev gives him everything in Gopal mantra. In Kamakastri he gives, everything is there. But he is not qualified to nothing. But if he is always in association of high class of Vaishnava, so he will clear all these things. So, they can realize you, make you realize that in Gopal mantra, it was given by Krishna himself took Brahma. Gangotri was also given. And by this help of the entering Goloka now, they can go into nothing to take peace. The Buddha gives everything, but will have to realize in association of high class of faith. So we should remember more than Krishna to Jashoda or gopis like Rup Manjari and then we can serve Krishna in that. There are so many things to think about. We should follow Rupa Goswami. That is why we are called Rupanuga. Oh, I know that all gifts is just honey. Rupanu Guru Bhargati. But he never knows that what is Rupanuga. We should try to know. With a question that what is Rupanuga? What is the Raganuga? What is the Raga? What is Sattha? What is Nishtha? What is taste? What is Asakti? What is Rati? What is Prem? What is Sneh, Man, Prane, Rag and Rag? Then you will know all this. High class of association gives all these things. By reading Srimad Bhagavatam, you can attend anything. So Satang Sangam. Also we can learn so many things from Bhagavatam. But was so renounced in third birth, he became Brahmin. He became totally like mad. He was not mad, always remembering Krishna and others. And he never associated with particular. Never. But there is doubt that whether he has received this same thing what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. Anarpit karing chirag karanya. He never. You are so lucky. More than all, Bharat Maharaj and all others. You are so lucky to have come to this time just after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You are so lucky. We are so lucky. But we are so unfortunate that we don't want to follow. Don't want to take. We want to take gold. We want to take some worldly reputations from Vaishnavas, some other things, but not high class of love and affection. I think Bharat Maharaj never attained this. He had received so much high class of knowledge. But had he received this, a drop of love of Radha and Krishna conjugal, he had never heard of this. Never, he had no chance. Chitraketu Maharaj, high class of Vaishnava. Prahlad Maharaj, so high class of everything, everywhere he used to see Krishna here and there. But has he any anugatya of gopis? Has he any taste or greed for gopis? No, never. Because he has no association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers. What you must pursue? Don't neglect and don't misuse this time. Otherwise you will be self-cutter. But butcher like. Don't be butcher. Try to use that. Today time is over. I wanted to go home.
Rama was saying that it's very important to hear Bhagavatam.
Yes.
But to read it, it doesn't help us.
Never. You cannot hear the essence. What I am telling now, I am third class bogus person. Even I am telling too many things. And when more elevated person, Rasik and Vaishnava will come and tell, and then how glorious it is. You cannot. But we are so fortunate that we have come just after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we are so.
But how can you if we are unable to have such association, then at that time reading will do something.
You can't be like Mayavadi, Karmini.
No, we are blessed with such association for time being, and that's what should be.
In the absence of this association, it will be something. If you are sincere and praying to Krishna, Krishna is so merciful, he will at once marriage out. Yes. You pray to Nityananda Prabhu. He is more merciful than anyone. Oh, please, manage this. Give me so high class of association that I can hear Chaitanya Chaitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh, be merciful. I depend on. I am giving out my whole heart. And you will surely manage that. Such a high class of strong belief on this. Hare Krishna. And then
Yeah, but on the other hand, in Brazil, when somebody asks you, what do you mean by association? You said it doesn't necessarily mean physical, but it can mean by heart. So how do you adjust the two? Because then you have to read when you're trying to do it by heart.
It is available physically. Then why you should bother for it?
They want to know what to do on June 10th when you go away. Follow!
Oh, Krishna will manage it. Sorted. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.